Anna Karenina is not a love story. It's a warning. Everyone remembers the scandal, the affair, the passion, the tragedy. But that's just the surface story Tolstoy lets you see. Underneath it, he's running a ruthless experiment, testing love, marriage, pleasure, faith, and happiness to see which ones actually survive real life. And once you see what Tolstoy is really testing here, Anna's fate stops feeling romantic and starts feeling inevitable. This quote, it comes from a character named Steve Oblonsky right at the very beginning of the book. His life is a mess. His affair's been discovered. His home is in total chaos. And he's just looking for an escape. And this is the answer he comes up with: distraction. Just forget the big questions. Live for the moment. Get through the day. And what's so brilliant here is that Tolstoy isn't giving us the solution. He's showing us the problem. I mean, this impulse to forget oneself, isn't that the modern temptation to just numb ourselves to the big scary questions with small, easy pleasures? And it's the very thing the book's two main characters will spend almost 1,000 pages fighting against with everything they have. So, okay, if it's not just a tragic love affair, then what is this book really about? The way I see it, the novel is basically Tolstoy's personal laboratory, is wrestling with the biggest question in his own life, a question that was driving him into a serious spiritual crisis, which was simply, how do you live a good, meaningful life in a world that just feels hollow? And to find an answer, he runs two parallel experiments at the same time. The famous love story, that's just experiment number one. The other one, the one that often gets overlooked, is where you'll find the key to the whole. Alright, so here's how we're gonna break this down. First, we'll get right to the heart of that central problem Tolstoy is wrestling with. Then, we'll look at the two lives he uses to explore it, Anna's and Levin's. We'll examine the society that's boxing them in, talk about why this 19th century book still feels so incredibly relevant. And finally, we'll get into the novel's fragile and, I think, deeply honest conclusion. Okay, let's get to the heart of it. This book isn't driven by some clever plot. It's driven by a single agonizing question. You have to remember when Tolstoy was writing this. He's in his late 40s. He has everything you could possibly want: success, a loving family, good health, and he was seriously contemplating suicide. He felt that life, for all its good parts, was ultimately meaningless. This novel, this was his way of trying to think himself out of that dark place. So this is the problem. And it's not as simple as how to be happy. It's so much deeper, almost desperate. It's how do you find something real, something solid to hold on to when society feels like a performance. Love can be treacherous, and the knowledge of your own death makes every single thing you do feel kind of pointless. Every character in the book is trying to answer this. But Tolstoy really sets up two main paths, two competing philosophies for how to live. So on one side, you have the path of passion. This is that big romantic ideal, right? The idea that one single earth-shattering love can give your life all of its meaning, that it can be the sun your whole world revolves around. Then, on the other side, you have the path of purpose. This is the idea that meaning isn't something you find in a flash of lightning. It's something you build slowly, piece by piece, day by day. You build it through commitment to your family, to your work, to your community, maybe to faith. And Tolstoy creates two unforgettable characters to walk these two very different paths. And this brings us to the book structure, which is brilliant, and for some people, a little frustrating. It's not one story. It's two parallel stories that almost never touch, but are constantly talking to each other. You have Anna Karenina, the dazzling center of St. Petersburg society. And then you have Konstantin Levin, this awkward, reclusive landowner who feels a whole lot like Tolstoy himself. What's so interesting here is just the fundamental difference in their energy. For Anna, life's meaning is found in these intense flashes of agitating joy. It's a feeling, a spark of pure aliveness that lights her up from the inside. But for Levin, well, for him, life isn't a joy. It's a sentence. It's something to be got through until death finally arrives. He's fighting this internal darkness, and his work is just this one guiding clue, a single thread he can follow. He's not looking for joy. He's just looking for a reason not to give in to despair. She's running towards feeling. He's running towards structure. You know. One of the common misreadings of the book is that Anna's tragedy is simply that society shunned her. But Tolstoy shows us it's so much deeper, and honestly, so much more terrifying than that. Her pursuit of this one all-defining passion doesn't make her whole or authentic. It fractures her. This nightmare she keeps having, it's not just about guilt. It's the psychological horror of your own self becoming incoherent. She's split between two men, two worlds, and ends up belonging to neither. The very passion that was supposed to define her as the thing that ends up dissolving her identity. And while Anna's drama becomes intensely internal, focused on this one relationship, Levin's is sprawling and external. Make no mistake, he's just as lost as she is. But he tries to fix his internal emptiness by building this huge external system. He tries to revolutionize all of Russian agriculture. He's not just fixing his farm, he's trying to build the system of meaning, so vast and so rational that it can save him from his own chaotic thoughts. It's his almost comical attempt to find purpose on a global scale, all just to quiet this private gnawing dread inside him. So, let's talk about the world these two are struggling in. What does Tolstoy think about human nature, at least when we all get together in a society? While his view is deeply, profoundly skeptical, society isn't a community working for the common good. Nope, it's a performance. It's a stage play with a very strict set of rules that no one ever talks about. These are the laws of their world. And what's absolutely crucial to get is that Anna's crime isn't having an affair. Affairs were common, almost expected. Her crime is that she refuses to hide it. She breaks the numbered one rule: appearance matters more than authenticity. She insists on being sincere in a world that thinks sincerity is just naive, maybe even a little boring. And in a world like this, you can't have real connection because every conversation is a game. A performance designed to show off how witty you are, not to reveal any truth. This line just dropped so casually at a high society party. It is so revealing, it's actually chilling. It's the mission statement for this whole social world. Connection isn't built on shared joy or vulnerability, it's built on shared contempt. The main way people bond is by cleverly making fun of people who aren't there. And this just brilliantly shows the suffocating emptiness that Anna is trying to escape. Her passionate, real love for Bronsky must feel like the only real thing. In a world war, being amused means being mean. And then Tolstoy really twists the knife by showing that there's no real escape. It's not just the frivolous, gossipy people who are fake. When Anna is cast out, she tries to connect with the so-called moral people, this pious religious circle around Countess Lydia Ivanovna. And she finds out it's just as performative, just as insincere. It's just a different kind of hypocrisy, one that's dressed up in spirituality. So the point is, there's no social outside for Oneida. Run to every door just leads to another room in the same house of lies. Now, it might be tempting to look at all this and just say, okay, cool critique of 19th century Russian aristocrats. But I think the reason this book is still so powerful is a Tolstoy central problem. The search for a real, authentic life in a world that's all about performance is, if anything, even more of a problem for us today than it ever was for them. These conflicts are basically the background noise of modern life. I mean, think about it. Personal authenticity versus what people expect from you. We live in the age of the personal brand, of the curated social media self, where we're all performing a version of our lives for public approval. Anna's desperate, messy attempt to live an unedited life out in the open feels incredibly contemporary. Her struggle is our struggle, just with much higher stakes and without a delete button. Or take this moment, for example. This is Levin arguing with his brother about doing public service, and he lays out this really modern dilemma. When we do good work, are we really motivated by a genuine desire to help? Or is that just a nice story we tell ourselves to justify our own self-interest? Levin wants so badly to believe in some higher purpose, but he's too honest, too skeptical to ignore that selfish drive inside himself. And that tension is at the very heart of so many of our debates today. About everything from economics to politics to charity. So after all this searching, all this suffering, where does Tolstoy leave us? Well, one of the greatest and most honest things about this novel is that it refuses to give us a simple, tidy answer. It doesn't end with a moral neatly stamped on the final page. It really just ends with a question mark. Tolstoy doesn't just reward one path and punish the other. The path of passion, of making one person your entire universe. Well, he shows how that can become self-consuming and ultimately destructive. But the path of purpose is not some heroic victory. Levin finds a kind of faith, a reason to live. But it's a constant struggle. His peace is fragile, and his doubts are never really gone. And that fragility, that's what makes it feel so real. There's no triumphant, permanent solution to the problem of being alive. And this is the final boss of the novel. This is Levin after watching his brother's slow, painful death. He's confronting the ultimate argument against meaning. What is the point of building anything? A family, a farm, a moral system, when death is just gonna come and erase it all? This is the terror that both he and Anna are ultimately running from in their own ways. It's the final devastating counter-argument to any life project. And Tolstoy just puts it on the table with brutal honesty. And this is where Anna Karenina finally leaves us. Not with instructions, not with answers. Tolstoy doesn't tell us how to live. Instead, he suggests something far more uncomfortable. That maybe meaning isn't a destination you arrive at, but a process you stay inside of. A constant, imperfect, unfinished search. Anna collapses because she puts everything into a single, perfect answer. Her love for Vronsky. And when that answer turns out to be flawed, conditional, human, there's nothing left to stand on. Levin survives, barely, because he never stops searching. He doubts, he questions, he struggles, but he keeps going anyway. And maybe that struggle itself, the refusal to stop asking, even without certainty, is the only honest answer to life Tolstoy thinks is available. Not clarity, not happiness, just the courage to keep living in the question. If this breakdown helped you see Anna Karenina differently, hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe for more deep dives into books that are doing more than they seem. And let me know in the comments what you think Tolstoy is really saying here, and which book you want us to explore next.